Rager. Welcome to, hopefully welcome back. Could you survive? In front of you, I have every single map in the game, and a lot of them. I'm gonna be going through every single map and ranking them based on how much I think you, yes, you could realistically survive against the Forsaken killers. The killers get to keep all their abilities, but you do get Forsaken speed and stamina. In the end, we're gonna add up all the points and see who really is the most lethal killer, and if you could survive against them. Let's get straight into it. The main thing we're going to be focusing on are the main points of the map. So for example, like the castle, the little corners over here, and this big open area. Since every single killer is able to keep their abilities and will be able to see you through walls, hiding will not be an option in most of these maps. Let's see on how survivable Brandon Works is. Alright, we're gonna start this off over here with the main vocal point of the map, which is the giant castle. We're gonna stay in first person because you're in first person in real life. Come on. There are some spots where you just can't obtain. So for example, realistically, you're not jumping off this. If you jumped off this in real life at that height, you would instantly snap your leg. You wouldn't even have a leg, it'd just be a stump. So we're gonna be focusing on just the main looping spot, which is right here. Switching over to my little Jason camera over here. The main thing about this map that's gonna nerf down Jason a lot and make it so it's quite a bit of a struggle for him to catch you is the fact that he has literally no anti-looping. Everything about him is run you down. Remember, we do have Forsaken stamina and speed. So realistically, you could just continue to keep running in a circle and a circle and a circle, and there isn't really much that Jason would be able to do. I'd say the only way that Jason would be able to catch you is if he catches you off guard. For example, let's say you start running around, and then one of these times he just sits here and he waits for you to cross the corner and but at the same time, you could just sit up here and wait for him to appear. He appears that way, you go this way. Now, if we were to take this anywhere else, like for example, if we were to take it over here, I think that Jason could easily win because he could just hide around so many corners. He could just sit here. He could sit there. He can listen for your footsteps. He'll always be right behind you no matter what. If we're using the massive castle, I would like to say that Jason is indeed survivable on this map. Let's get on to the next character. All my homies hate 1x, 1x. But are you one of my homies? Become one today. Alright, next person that we got up on the list is, of course, Cool Kid. So as a survivor, looping Cool Kid is a little bit harder because even if you can run across this map like, oh, I'm gonna keep running, I'm gonna circle him. One big thing that Cool Kid can do to like counteract that easily is just the pizza delivery. If Cool Kid summons its goons, there's not really much looping you can do, you know, because eventually they're gonna try to catch up to you from behind. And whenever you run all the way around, who's standing right here? A Cool Kid not paying attention. Looping would be a lot more difficult with a character like Cool Kid because not only does he have his miniature traps as his goons, but he also has a ranged ability and a massive dash. Now, how would the rest of the map fare up against a Cool Kid? Well, honestly, not much better because he could, again, just like Jason, he could appear out of nowhere. However, the one thing that the survivor does have going for him is that the fact that every single one of Cool Kid's abilities are not guaranteed. What do I mean by this? Well, even if he summons the goons, you can run around the goons, you can dodge their attacks and continue to run forward. Where would I have to put Cool Kid? Survivable. On to the next killer. The next character on the list is gonna have to be the Mr. Doe. Looking the wrong way. Mr. Doe has 0 movement options in terms of anything. How would he fare up against this looping spot and the map in general? If you're playing survivor against this guy, especially on this map, all he would need to do is this and you're doomed. Oh my god, he's coming after me. Stupid idiot. He thinks he's gonna catch. Ain't that awkward? And the worst part is that even if the wall drops and let's say, oh my god, he put a thing here. Oh, well, I could drop off. That's not gonna feel good on your legs after so many times. Looping here is impossible against John Doe because he's an anti-looper. Let's say you want to run across the map. You want to run around and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I can't be over there. I'd rather be over here. With this map, I'm gonna have to say that it is still a really hard fight because even if you have an open area, he could wall off so much. Overall, I'm gonna have to say that John Doe is not survivable on this map. On to the next character. And for the last character, we have Mr. 1x1x. Looking very stupid right now. I don't know why he looks like this. This is kind of weird. Yeah, that's normal, bro. But how would the average person fare against having to run across this little looping spot against 1x? Well, let's say you continue to keep running, He will eventually start to realize and try to like predict you by shooting a bunch of things back. Even still, you could dodge out of the way, you could duck out of the way, you can dive out of the way. There's a lot of ways that you can dodge out of 1X's stuff. And unless he gets like goons or something, or he just continues to keep running you down with this speed 1 that he gets, which does blind him, by the way, so you could juke out of the way. He really does not have a lot. And now I will bring up, oh, but what if they're out in the map? You know, a nice flat map for them to be able to shoot stuff. In that case, it'd be a little harder to survive. But again, we're focusing on the main looping spot because we're trying to keep you alive. And with that, I'm gonna have to put 1X into survivable. Not a lot to say other than the fact that this map really is not made for him in the slightest. Let's get on to the next map. Welcome to Yorix, a wide map with a lot of open space and a lot of areas to hide in. But again, hiding is useless, so it is what it is. Now, there isn't really a main looping spot on this map. They kind of patched all of those out. Before, it used to be up here, but let's be real with each other. You're not jumping off of this unless you want to break a couple things. And then the time even before that was this massive house, which was patched out. So how are we gonna survive as the people on this map? My idea would be somewhere right here. You can see a large area from left, forward, and right. And if a killer starts to come at you, you can run literally anywhere. You can go left, you can go right and try to go around the house, or for some reason you can run at him. So how would the killer face up against this? For Jason, he would just have to start running you down. And the problem is that he could run you down. 1, they have a bunch of stamina. 2, even if they get out of stamina, they can launch forward with the behead. 3, they can get a raging pace and get their stamina back and charge towards you. And God forbid they get close to you, gashing wounds, you're dead. So for this first map, since there isn't an adamant looping spot and it's just a run away from Jason, I have to say that Jason would easily not be survivable. On to the next character. Now we're on to Cool Kid. Gonna be honest with you, the same strategy is still gonna apply. So we're gonna have to sit right here and we're gonna have to see where he comes from and run the opposite direction. Honestly, I would have to say that this isn't the best map for Cool Kid. Even though Cool Kid has the long dash ability, which is good in this really open space, and he gets the corrupt nature, which allows him to attack you from far. The problem comes in where it's all, again, extremely uncertain. If he throws a pizza box at you, you can dodge out of the way. He dashes at you, you can dodge out of the way. His minions, this map is really wide open. You can just walk around. He has to sit into the survivable tier. On to the next character, Mr. John Doe. Same thing as always, we never switch it up. We sit right here and we don't move. Now, a lot of people would say that John Doe would be weak on this map because John Doe doesn't really have much options to chase you down. Why did I just get switched to John Doe? What the hell? I guess we'll look at Real Shaletsky 53 continue to run forward. However, oh, he's gone. So for example, if you see him run over here and start to put down a digital footprint, and then you see that and you're like, oh my God, oh hell no, I'm getting the hell out of here. I'm going this way. With you being scared and running off, John Doe could just put even more footprints all over all the bridges, and then you're kind of doomed. So for John Doe, I'm gonna have to put survivable.
What? Rager, you just got done glazing John Doe for 5 minutes on how he could be super big brain and stuff.
Realistically, he's not going to be able to set up that much. You can use the entirety of this massive map to loop him, and there ain't nothing he can do. So John Doe has to go into survivable. On to the last character. All right, we got Mr. Real Shaletsky back into the game, and we're back on 1X. Same strategy. Sit here, wait for him. You see him, go. But do I think that 1X would be able to catch you in this scenario with as many ranged abilities on a more flatter map? The thing is that this map is very open and flat. And a large part is that you can still hit abilities even under the bridge. Let's say you try to loop him and he's right here. He starts charging the attack. Oh, that's gonna go under. Nope. That's gonna hit you right in the toes and your feet are instantly chopped off because that's a massive flying blade. And that combined with the massive open map, the only way you'd be able to survive against this guy is looping him up and down the stairs. This one would require you having to run all the way around multiple times, which by that time with the unstable eye speed and God forbid the rejuvenate speed, I could see 1X easily catching up to you and, well, obliterating you. So for that, I'm gonna have to put 1X into not survivable. On to the next map. All right, the final map that we have for today is Glass Houses. Now, there's a lot of looping spots in this map. Like, for example, the main one, which is the area up there. However, we're going to be excluding that because, you know, jumping up from Yeah, I don't think there's going to be many people that are going to be able to go that far down without hurting themselves. The next looping spot is right here. I'd say that you honestly could probably do this spot if you do like a little safety roll maybe. Now the next looping spot would probably be right here where you just keep running around and around and around. But I will say that the killer could probably just chop your legs off if you try to run past him this way. So we have a wide open map, not a lot of looping spots, and Jason Voorhees. This character was made for chasing down people, and since this map is a lot smaller and there isn't as many looping spots, of course, because, you know, you're not a superhuman, I'm gonna say that you're gonna have a really hard time against Jason because he will eventually catch you and mess you up. Is there any way that you could survive on this map? Well, I think you'd have to use a little bit of last map's book, where you just stand right here and you wait for him. You'd have to use this very wide map to your advantage while he runs at you and pray to everything that you can juke out of his way. For Jason, I'm gonna have to say not survivable. A map without looping spots is a map Jason gets to have his way with you. On to the next character. Alright, how would glass houses go against Cool Kid? Since this map is a lot more close quarters, Cool Kid's pizza delivery minions are able to scout out a lot more of it. On wide open maps like Yorick's, pizza delivery is not that good because, you know, they could just run around it. But on close quarter maps, anytime you try to run around the goons, the guy can just cut you off, especially on a map like this where there's not a lot of like angles to juke. And another problem that the survivors are going to run into is juking these guys. On maps like this with close quarters, you can't really like walk around them, you know? So for example, let's say somebody's about to walk through this door. Oh my god, no, you walk out here and Cool Kid's waiting right there for you. And it's not like you can run up here and jump off, because if you did, well, I hope you know on how to roll. And plus, he could still just wait down there and attack you. So unless you're way out in the open over here, there ain't really a lot that you can do against a Cool Kid. So for that, I'm gonna have to say that Cool Kid finally gets their first not survivable map. On to the next map. Okay, how would this map fare against Mr. John Doe? You are not about to have a good time when it comes to this map. Oh, you want to run that way? Well, guess what? Big corrupted energy wall. Oh, you want to go up these stairs? Oh, well, guess what? Digital footprint. Good luck. Oh, you want to go inside of this building? Well, guess what? He can walk inside and wall off literally the entirety of your exit. The only way you'd be able to survive against John Doe is using the wide space around here or around over there where John Doe is. And the problem is even if you try to use this wide open space, eventually you're going to run out of stamina. And when you run out of stamina, he could just cut you completely off of one angle. Now you have to run the way where he's going. Good luck. So for that, not survivable. This map is really not on a good record. On to 1x. So how would 1x be on this map? As said before, 1x has a lot of range abilities, and this map is pretty flat for the most part. The only up and downs you have are areas you don't really want to go through a lot, especially against a realistic killer that could just chop your legs off. So again, you have a close quarters map, you have a long range killer that can run you down with his abilities. How is this gonna fare? I will say against 1x, I think you will have a little bit of an easier time. The reason why I say that is because there is a lot of juking spots on this map. If you can play around this middle pillar or that house over there, I mean, he's not gonna be able to see you much and he's gonna have to guess where you are. The only problem that comes with that is that if he does guess where you are, well, you're just gonna get chopped in half. And he has the unstable eye to catch you and see you through the wall to be able to predict where you're going. So you can't use the wide open spaces against him because he will run you down and he will shoot you down. You can't really run up and down against this guy because he's got a lot of swords on him and he's gonna cut your legs off. Overall, gotta say that 1x would also not be survivable. This map is just not an easy map for surviving.